Welcome to Goa, this small tropical state on the west coast of India. Over these seas, the Arabs have come and ruled, the Portuguese came and stayed to rule for 450 years, and the latest invasion has been a very happy one, that of tourists who come for the 82 miles of sandy beaches and the gorgeous food, which is a mixture of Indian and Portuguese. Famous for its distinctive seafoods, Goa can boast an unusual cuisine which marries Iberian Catholic and coastal Hindu styles and draws people from all over the world. This tiny verdant state produces some of India's finest chefs as well. Unlike most of India that was once ruled by the British, Goa was a Portuguese colony for more than 4.5 centuries. Pursuing dreams of wealth and empire, their architecture, culture, language, dress, and even food were to have a profound effect on local Goans. This is how most of the 16th and 17th century Portuguese entered the old city of Goa, through this archway, which was built by the great-grandson of Vasco da Gama around 1600. At that time, this was supposed to be a beautiful city. It was called Golden Goa. It was supposed to rival Lisbon in its beauty. It was supposed to be larger than London. Of course, all this was slowly destroyed by the plague, by the influence of the Inquisition, and of course, the general weather. But what is left, still standing, are the beautiful churches. There were once so many monumental buildings that Goa was referred to as the Eastern Rome. The remaining Catholic churches are still amongst the largest in Asia. This is the stunning Basilica of Bom Jesus, built in 1594. It's filled with gold leaf. It's still in active use, and it's known primarily for the body of St. Francis Xavier, which lies in a silver casket. As a missionary, Xavier was one of the most famous figures in Goan history. He eventually died in China, and his body was returned here to the basilica, where it reposes today. And here, there is a wedding of cultures. The carved faces around this pulpit are exquisite examples of the basilica's Hindu craftsmen. The Portuguese made these monastery walls to last, but could they have guessed what real link they had in Goa to stand the test of time? That most famous of hot and tantalizing delights known to the world as Vindaloo. I'm at the ruins of St. Augustine's Monastery, which was built in 1602. Now I'm going to make a dish for you that comes out of the Portuguese in Old Goa, pork Vindaloo. You all know Vindaloo. You know it as a dish that's hot, but there's much more to it than that. It is a dish of Portuguese ancestry, and you can tell that by its name. The vin part of the name comes from wine, vinho, and it's actually wine vinegar that's used. And the alu part comes from alhos, which is the Portuguese word for garlic, and that's how you get a vindaloo. These are the main ingredients. So I'm going to make it now. There are 2¼ pounds of pork here, and 3 tablespoons of vinegar, and a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add the salt, add the vinegar, and then let it marinate for about 2 to 3 hours. The meat requires another marinade, and for this I need 10 to 12 whole dried red chilies, a tablespoon of paprika, a ½ teaspoon of whole cumin seeds, about a 3-inch stick of cinnamon broken up, about 10 to 12 cloves, ½ teaspoon of black pepper, and 5 or 6 cardamom pods. These are ground and they look like this. You also need 10 to 12 cloves of garlic, an inch piece of chopped up fresh ginger, a ½ teaspoon of turmeric, which you grind to a paste with 2 tablespoons of vinegar. And this is what the paste is going to look like. And to this, you add your chili powder, which you would ground up, and make a paste which is going to look like this. Now you need only half of this. And the meat that was sitting with the salt and the vinegar, to that you have to add half of the paste, mix it all up, and let it marinate overnight. Now I'm ready to start cooking. In this pan, there are 3 tablespoons of oil. I'm going to put 5 or 6 cloves of crushed garlic, stir them around till they are lightly browned, They're already smelling wonderful. Then in goes onion, 3 onions sliced, and they too will be stirred until they're lightly browned. The onions look good, so in go 2 chopped tomatoes and 3 green chilies that are split, and the half of the spice paste that's still left, that goes in, about a teaspoon of sugar and a tablespoon of vinegar. Now I'm going to stir these around till the spice paste has browned. The spice paste looks nice and brown, so in goes the marinated meat. I'm going to stir that around until the juices from the meat begin to come out. And then I shall put in about 10 fluid ounces of water, bring it to a simmer, cover it, and let it cook for another 40 to 50 minutes. The meat is now done. Now the last touch is to add 3 slit green chilies, stir them in, and pork vindaloo is ready.
Because of all the vinegar in it, pork vindaloo can be actually kept in the fridge for up to a week. While the fame of Goan food has spread across India and across the world, so has the fame of the enclave's beaches and jungles. A combination of gastronomy, climate, sheer physical beauty, and an attitude of liberal tolerance has attracted visitors since the 60s. The hippies were the forerunners of the tourist invasion. Now its coastline hotels increasingly draw middle-class Europeans. Behind the hotels and tourism, however, is Goa's real economy. It employs thousands and supplies the base nutrition for almost all of Goa's communities. Off these idyllic coastlines and the hills of the Western Ghats lies the Arabian Sea, where local trawlers still use their manual nets. Their daily catch is central to Goan cuisine, abundant seafood.
They've just been fishing on this trawler and caught a whole lot of fish. And amongst the things they have here are prawns. I love prawns. And when I come to Goa, the first thing I want to eat is prawn curry, and that's what I'm going to make. So here, there are a pound of fresh prawns peeled. Traditionally, prawn curries are a lovely, rich red color, and this color comes from Kashmiri chilies, which are ground to a paste. Now, I know you can't get these easily, so you can use a tablespoon of paprika instead. I also need 2 tablespoons of coriander seeds and a teaspoon of cumin seeds, which are ground freshly to a powder, and all this goes into 10 fluid ounces of water. And I'm also going to put in some ginger, an inch of ginger, which has been ground to a paste, about 4 cloves of garlic, which have been ground to a paste, about a half a teaspoon of turmeric, and about a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And don't forget the tablespoon of paprika. And all this can be stirred nicely, and I'll let it cook until the water is reduced to half. While the basic sauce is reducing, let me show you what I'm going to use to make it sour. Now, this is kokum. It's a local fruit, and the skin is dried, and it gives off a very sour, lovely taste. And if you can't get that, you can use tamarind, which you know. And this is the paste from tamarind, so I need about a tablespoon of this paste. The sauce is now nicely reduced, so in goes the tamarind paste, and a teaspoon of salt, and 14 fluid ounces of delicious coconut milk. That goes in as well. I'm just going to stir it and bring it to a simmer. The last step is to
put in the prawns. Now you cook them for 2 or 3 minutes until the prawns turn opaque. So there it is, prawn curry. I'm going to enjoy it with plain rice.
But it's not just prawns that the Goans like. Shrimp, crabs, lobsters, mussels, pomfret, kingfish, you name it, they're on sale everywhere. The most affordable fish, however, are cockles and mackerel. On the west coast of Goa, it's a tradition that only women sell fish in the market. Their husbands, sons, brothers fish through the night. In the early morning, the women meet the fishermen with breakfast and take their catch to the market.
I'm on stunning Baga Beach, and here some of the fish that you saw earlier is going to be cooked by a master in different Goan ways. This is Rui Madre Dios, a wonderful chef.
Tisro sukam, clams cooked in coconut sauce with peppercorns, green chilies, ginger and garlic. Oh, how these clams really tease the senses as they slide down the palate. Next, mackerel richard, a filling of tamarind and cloves ground to a paste with red chilies, ginger and cumin, and just coriander and tomato to garnish. Prawn bal chow. This zestful dish is both a pickle and a main course. Many chilies account for its dazzling red color and flavor. It's enhanced with ginger, cumin, curry leaves, garlic, onions, and pepper. Stuffed squid pierced with toothpicks and cooked in vinegar, tomatoes, red chilies, onions, ginger and garlic, turmeric, cinnamon and cloves, and then shallow fried for only 8 minutes. They are deliciously tender and mouth-watering. These are the Goan seafood classics: mackerel richard, tisro clams, stuffed squid and prawn bal chow. All to be washed down, for those who dare, with a potent local spirit, feni. Goa's capital, known to the Portuguese as Panjim and as Panaji today, is a wonderful mixture of traditional and new buildings on the banks of the river Mandovi. A sleepy town of 40,000, surrounded by rice paddies, mango groves, and ever-present palms. Travel through it is slow due to the number of linking ferries, which are usually crowded. Given the time, though, it's all pleasant local color, boasting of flower-decked open balconies, bright cafes, and welcoming bars. On the whole, Goans are relaxed, have an easy attitude to everything. The favorite Goan word for this is sossegado, calm or tranquil, what the Spanish call mañana. Why do anything quickly when there's all tomorrow not touched yet? But one thing the Goans definitely don't take lightly is the preparation of food. It's highly imaginative and full of contrasting surprises.
I'm going to make a Goan classic, chicken shakuti, spelt with an exotic X. The dish probably originated in North Goa. Shak means vegetable and kuti means cut small, and it was probably a Hindu dish made with vegetables. It's still made with monsoon mushrooms, but today I'm going to make it with chicken. So there are 3 pounds of chicken here, and I'm going to put about 3/4 teaspoon of salt and about 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. Mix it all up and let it marinate for about 20 minutes. Now I'm going to make the sauce, which requires several roasted and sautéed ingredients. In this pan, there's 8 ounces of freshly grated coconut, which is roasting. I'm going to add half teaspoon of ground turmeric and stir that around as well. Several whole spices are required for this. 5 or 6 whole dried chilies, 4 tablespoon coriander seeds, 1 teaspoon cumin seeds, 1 teaspoon fennel seeds, half a teaspoon black peppercorns, 5 or 6 cardamom pods, half a teaspoon cloves, a 2-inch stick of cinnamon broken up, and star anise, which gives the sauce its particular flavor, a little mace, and 1/3 of a nutmeg. All these spices need to be roasted in a dry pan. Now these are done, they smell wonderful. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of white poppy seeds and roast them for a couple of seconds as well. And then the next thing is to take them out, grind them, and this is what they look like. For the next part of the sauce, I need 1 onion sliced, 6 or 7 cloves of garlic, and 2 inches of shredded ginger. And you brown all these in a tablespoon of oil. To make the spice paste, put the roasted coconut into the blender. Put the roasted spices in as well. Put the sautéed onions in. And then put in about 10 to 12 fluid ounces of water and blend. And this is what the final spice paste looks like. Now for the final stages of the cooking. 2 onions have browned in about 4 tablespoons of oil, and I'm going to put in all the spice paste now. And stir this around. And then put in all the marinated chicken. About 3/4 teaspoon of salt and 10 fluid ounces of water. Bring it to a simmer, cover it, and let it cook gently for 25 minutes or until the chicken is done. The chicken is now tender. One last thing, take some fresh curry leaves, scatter them about, and aromatic chicken shakuti is ready.
In Goa's colorful amalgam of cultures, there's a peaceful cohabitation of languages, religions, even dress, and there are celebrations for everyone.
Today is Anant Chaturdashi, the most important festival for the Hindus of this area. Lord Ganesh with his elephant tusk, the remover of obstacles, son of Lord Shiva, has been born. And now his image is being taken to be immersed in the river Mandovi.
All over India, similar processions take images of Lord Ganesh through the streets. In Goa, the Hindu majority celebrate the festival with fervent enthusiasm. But amidst these Ganesh celebrations is a unique feature of Goa's amazing tolerance. Madhavi Audi has prepared a variety of sweets for her Hindu family, but she's also made a thali to share with her Catholic neighbors. There's a ritual in this kindness. The Catholic family accepts the sweets and in return won't allow the thali to go back empty. The thali will always go back with a sweet or just some sugar in it. Although the majority of Goa's many communities are non-vegetarians, the Hindu vegetarians have produced some memorable dishes.
I'm just coming out of a Hindu temple where this coconut has been blessed. Now, in this area, about 75% of the people are Hindus. And what I'm going to do today is prepare 2 vegetarian dishes. One of them will use the coconut. This first dish is a cashew nut bhaji. Cashew nuts grow all up and down the southwest coast, and what I'm going to use are a pound of raw cashews which have been soaked overnight.
Now, the first thing to do is take some mustard seeds, a teaspoon, and put them in 2 tablespoons of hot oil. As soon as they start popping, put in a teaspoon of cumin seeds, a teaspoon of urad dal, about 1 or 2 crumbled red chilies, give them a little bit of a stir, and put in some turmeric, give 1 quick stir, and quickly put in all the cashews. Now stir them around briefly, and then put in 3 fluid ounces of water and cover it and let it cook for about 10 minutes. There's a go-on spice mix that goes in here, an inch stick of cinnamon, a teaspoon of cardamom seeds, a teaspoon of cumin seeds, a teaspoon of black peppercorns, a teaspoon of cloves. All these are ground up to make a spice mix. And I'm going to take the spice mix and put it over the cashews. I'm also going to put in a teaspoon of salt, about 4 ounces of freshly grated coconut, about 2 to 3 green chilies which have been slit, and a few good handfuls of green coriander. And all this is stirred and mixed, and the dish is ready. What I really love to do when I go shopping here is find one of the small cafes and go in and have bhaji pav. Pav is one of the many go-on breads. It's quite delicious. The bhaji pot is made with boiled diced potatoes. I'm going to start cooking now. In 3 tablespoons of oil, go a teaspoon of whole cumin seeds, a teaspoon of brown mustard seeds, 1 onion which has been chopped, and 2 to 4 green chilies which have been slit. And these are stirred until the onions are soft. In go the potatoes, and a teaspoon of ground coriander, a teaspoon of ground cumin, half a teaspoon of ground turmeric, about a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon cayenne pepper. Mix it up lightly, stir for a bit, and then add about a 1/4 pint water. This already looks good. Now you let it cook for about 8 to 10 minutes. The potatoes look done. I'll put a nice handful of green coriander, sprinkle it over the top, stir it, and now I'm ready to eat it with the pav.
While some of the Hindu community is still celebrating the 11th day of the Ganesh festival, this old trading family is preparing for its own special festivities. The Mamai Kamath family is preparing to feed over 1,000 people. It's an open invitation to all members of a very extended family.
In this 400-year-old kitchen, built during Portuguese times by a Hindu family, food is cooked in pretty much the same way as it always was. For this festival, 21 vegetables are being cooked by 8 chefs. They're going to make 18 dishes out of them, and they'll cook for 3 days.
This feast celebrates an auspicious event that occurred 400 years ago. A rare conch shell that had markings on it associated with the Hindu god Vishnu was seen on the deck of a Portuguese fishing vessel. In the belief that this would bring them luck, the Kamath family purchased it from the sea captain. As it happened, they found incredible wealth, and their good fortune has been celebrated ever since by the descendants of the family. Away from Panaji, much of Goa's life and food still centers around the village. For many Catholics, villages like this provide almost everything from local sausages, cakes to freshly made breads.
Every village, every township in Goa has its own bakery, and this is paras. Now here are rolls of bread rising, rolls of dough being formed, and in here is the actual oven. This is Matthew Pereira, the baker and owner, and the oven is very interesting. It's made out of clay, and inside it's lined with stones, and the bottom part is lined with clay tiles. Now the breads seem to go in fast and come out fast, and then they're placed here in a huge heap. There are about 2,000 of them, and these are eaten with everyday meals. I've had them before, they're delicious. But Goans also have a sweet tooth. One of Goa's most extraordinary cakes is made here. It's called bibinka. The yolks are separated from 50 eggs. To the yolks is added 2 kilos of sugar. This is then whisked into a smooth batter. Then 50 grams of crushed cardamom seeds are mixed in. Then 1 kilo of plain flour is folded in into a smooth batter. 1.5 liters of coconut milk are poured in and mixed thoroughly. A heated pan is greased with butter or ghee, and several scoops of batter poured in to cover the bottom and form the first layer. The pan is covered and burning coconut husks placed on the lid. Their heat cooks the first layer of the bibinka. You can use an ordinary grill. After 15 or 20 minutes, or when the layer is brown, a couple of tablespoons of ghee, then more scoops of batter are added to form the next layer. Layers of the bibinka are built up until the batter mixture is used up. One thing is for certain, Goan hospitality is proverbial. I went to have lunch with an old friend, Mrs. Gonzalez. She was cooking sannas, cakes made from partially milled rice. They would complement a typical Goan meal: chicken shakuti, sorpatel, rice, meatballs and fish. It was splendid. But when the Gonzalez family celebrated Christmas last year, there was even more. Roast suckling pig, dried beans, roast turkey, red spinach bhaji, fried masala prawns, pickled mango, sweet called dodol, bibinka. Oh, wonderful. And what would Goa be without a beach party? There's chicken shakuti here, fish being grilled here, singing and dancing. And here, there's a roast suckling pig, and everywhere, friends old and new. I think I'm going to join them. Cheers. Amidst the sparkling beaches and wonderful festivities of both old and tourist Goa, it's the generous and kind hospitality of the Goans that I'll remember most. For its wonderful food, there are few mixtures as delectable or unusual as the Portuguese with the Indian.